Hello everyone, welcome to GMAT Friday, where today we're going to get into data insights. Within data insights, the question type that we are taking today is data sufficiency. Now right now what you see on your screen is just the question stem of this data sufficiency question. I'm not even showing the statements to you because it's a common practice to just go ahead and look at those and feel like, okay, I want to get an idea of what's coming later, but that's not how you should approach. So through this question, see how you should be approaching any data sufficiency question. First step should always be only analyzing the question stem completely. Now, what is this question? Some basics about this. First of all, this is a hard question, 655 to 705 level, which on GMAT Club, if you check the accuracy, has only a 65% accuracy. The actual accuracy, you can understand, would be lower than this, because on GMAT Club there are some people who are reattempting the question. There are some who also see the question first, the solution, or take extra time but then don't ever start the timer and then mark. So the accurate data, if you want to get this, should be about 50-55% accuracy. Now, does it mean it's a very hard question? Well, it is hard for sure because people are getting it wrong, but once we discuss it, you'll see it really didn't deserve that much of a low accuracy. It's not that hard if only you know how to approach a question correctly. Let's do that here. We'll start reading the question stem completely, complete evaluation of this first. This is talking about Alberto, who invested a total of 50,000 in two new funds. There's a stock fund and a bond fund, and combined in these two funds he put $50,000. Then it tells you after 1 year what happened to these investments. The stock fund increased 13% in value, while the other one, the bond fund, increased 18% in value. So different percentage increases for the different funds. I'll actually represent all of the information till here nicely. So I have my stock fund. I'll first represent all of the information we've read till now properly. So you have two funds, your stock and bond funds. So this is S and this is B. And I know the total that we've put into the two is 50,000. So if I'm talking about the investment here, then the sum of those two is 50,000. I don't know any of those. So one way is for you to take two variables, S and B maybe, and then just write down S plus B is equal to 50,000. Another way is to take just one variable. Say I take the bond fund to be X, then my stock fund would be 50,000 minus X. This way I save myself from one extra variable. Wherever possible, try to do this. This will help you keep your calculations and computations to a simpler level later on. Now, it also tells you the increase, right? So, for the stock fund, it was 18% increase. Stock fund was 13% increase. That means it was 0.13 times this whole thing, 50,000 minus X, while the bond fund, which increased 18% in value, this would be 0.18x. That's what everything is till now. Now your question is saying, was the amount of increase in the bond fund? So you are interested in the bond fund increase, which is this value here, was this greater than 5,000? So essentially I have a question here which says, is 0.18x greater than 5,000? Now clearly you can see what you're interested in here is just X, the one variable. You can actually simplify this further. It means you want to see, is X greater than 5,000 divided by 0.18. I'm not going to spend any more time calculating this right now, because let's see what the statements are giving us. We'll only calculate as much as is necessary. But I've definitely understood the question properly and have simplified it in a way that the amount of work I have to do doesn't seem a lot now. I know I somehow have to find more about X from my statements, okay? So let me take this analysis now along with the simplified question stem to the first statement. Alright, so here we are. Let's look at statement 1. This talks about the amount of increase in the stock and bond funds combined this time, and that was $8,000. So combined means I'm really taking this increase from stock, this increase from bond, and I'm adding them. That's equal to 8,000. So if you try to mathematically represent that, it is just a single equation, right? This is 0.13 times 50,000 minus x plus 0.18x, and this is equal to 8,000. Now what kind of an equation is this? This is a linear equation which has only one variable. If you have a linear equation in one variable, of course you can solve it to find the value of x. Now if I can find the value of x from here, I can definitely also see whether it is greater than 50,000 over 0.18 or not. I don't have to tell whether it is so. I don't have to answer yes or no. My goal here is to see sufficiency, which is, can I answer this question, right? So I can answer this question for sure, which means statement 1 alone is sufficient to answer this. And if statement 1 alone is sufficient, what does that mean for our choices? It means we will eliminate choices B, C and E, and we are only left with A and D. Now we'll go to statement 2. We will again take what we got from the question stem without taking anything from this first statement. These are two independent statements. Let me set everything up, take this to statement 2, and then we'll continue. Alright, then here we are with statement 2. Let's read this. The dollar amount of increase in the stock fund was less than $3,900. So you don't have an exact value, but I'm talking about the stock fund increase. So this is really saying 0.13 times 50,000 minus x. This thing is less than 3,900, and I want to see if somehow this gives me enough information for me to be able to ultimately compare my x with 5,000 over 0.18. Let's see, I'll have to do some simplification here. So what's your 13 times 5? That is 65. So I know that's going to balance out some of the zeros. Think about just multiplying this with 13. You would have to put 4 zeros, but then I have 2 decimal points, so I really just put in 2 zeros. Do all of this in your head. Then you have 0.13x, and this is less than 3,900. Now you take your 3,900 to the left side, do some basic calculations. I'm going to have 0.13x is greater than something. How much is this? This is 2,600. Now further simplification is going to tell me that x is greater than 2,600 over 0.13. This is again simple calculation because 13 times 2 is 26. So you do this here. This would be 200, but then remember the decimals down here, so 20,000. So what I'm getting from here is that x is a number which is greater than 20,000. This means my x can lie anywhere here on the right of 20,000. I have to see whether this is enough to do this comparison. So I now need to know what this number is. Even if I estimate, I should be fine. So let's see what this number is here. 5,000 over 0.18. Let's do this further. So this is really 5,000 times 100 over 18. Now what is this? This is really 500,000 divided by 18. That's a pretty big number. If I estimate the denominator to be 20, then let's see what happens. 5,000 times 100. Now this goes perfectly here and becomes a 5. So this is about 25,000. But I actually increased the denominator, which means I've really reduced the value. That means this actual number that I'm comparing with is something slightly more than 25,000. It's not 25,000. So I have a number which is slightly more. So I have a number, let's just take this up properly. 1 second. Yes, I have a number which is slightly more than 25,000. with which I am comparing my x. Is x greater than this or not? And I can't tell because I know it's greater than 20,000. It's in the yellow region, but it could be here in region 1, it could be here in region 2, it could also be equal to this number, whatever this value is, right? So I don't have enough information to compare my x with this number, which is about 25,000, using just the fact that it is greater than 20. That's it. So this means my second statement here is insufficient alone. So if I look at my choices one more time, I had come to this stage. Now I know the second statement is insufficient alone. So D also goes out, which leaves me with choice A as the correct answer. And I am done. Let's quickly summarize this, and through that we will see the key points of this question. So first major thing here was completely understanding what the question stem is giving to us, representing all of that information in an easy to understand manner, visually this way in the form of a table here. Whatever is relevant in your question, do that. Just process your information in such a neat way that you don't have to reread stuff. Then we very clearly wrote down what the final question was. What is it that we finally wanted to find out? We simply wanted to compare x with this number. We didn't do calculations here. We saw, okay, later if we need, we'll do it, otherwise we won't. Now with this, we went into our statements one by one. We took all of the analysis that we just did here. Now statement 1 actually gave you enough information to help you find out the value of x through this linear equation in one variable. Now if you can find out the value of x, you can of course compare it with any number in the world, whatever this 5000 over 0.18 may be, which made this statement sufficient. See, no calculations really were required till this stage. Then when you went into statement 2, this gave you an inequality instead of the value of x. You came to this stage that x is a number which is greater than 20,000, which we then visualized here on the number line that it could be anywhere in this yellow region. Now we had to compare x with 5000 over this. We needed some more perspective because it was difficult for us to see how 20,000 connects with this number. We don't know the value. This is where we put some effort to find it, but not exactly. We estimated it to see approximately what it's going to be. If the denominator was increased, we knew that the value is being decreased that way. So if this way I get this to be about 25,000, I know the actual number I'm calculating is even more than 25,000. So this blue thing is what I'm comparing my x with. Now a number which is in the yellow region can be anywhere, 1, 2 or 3, you can't really say how it compares with 25,000. So again, this is where we used estimation. This is where we used visualization and only did as much as is necessary at every single step. And what helped us was this clarity that what is it that we ultimately have to do. We never went back, never thought about stock or bond anymore. Once we came here, it was then just about using your numbers, using the new given information, and we were through. So a question that has such a low accuracy doesn't really deserve to have such a low accuracy. It's not really that hard that half of the people could not do it. It's just about the way we approach the question. We sometimes overdo things because of which we feel, oh, it's taking so long, maybe it's not going to happen, maybe I'll just guess and move on. But then if you understand how to be efficient, you will not waste your time, you will not lose your confidence, and you will be able to give your 100% to every question. That's it about this question. I will see you in another video. Until then, good luck.